5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us on the GHD Overland Podcast. This is where you get the greatest interviews and insights from overland travelers around the globe, learning from their stories and their experiences as we interview overlanders from places like Australia, Africa, the Americas, Pakistan, and the UK. You will learn the basics to the advanced in overlanding, so buckle up and get ready for a new adventure. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lisa. Today's featured guest is Marco Moak from the Holland Africa Tour. If you've watched the popular YouTube video of two large yellow trucks pulling a stuck fuel tanker through the desert, that's the Holland Africa Tour.
Yeah, I think they've got over 1 million views on the video. It's pretty epic. The thing that really attracted us to the Holland Africa Tour was their humanitarian efforts. This is a prime example of good people doing good things, from giving kids soccer balls and shoes to assisting in installing more sanitary bathrooms for the school kids. They often visit the same areas multiple times and have gotten to know the people and their needs.
And what about the movie they produced?
Okay. So seriously, this is the first 1 hour movie, because I don't like movies with subtitles because the subtitles go faster than I can read. They all spoke Dutch, so I don't know Dutch, but the video and what they were doing was so capturing that it was no problem. So definitely a movie that you want to watch. We've got a link in the show notes, so go check that out. It's hard to explain, but you definitely want to take a look at that video. It is really capturing.
Yeah, I thought it was eye-opening, like educational, and just fascinating. How exciting was it that Marco invited us to join one of their tours?
You know, honestly, I was really surprised, and it was really a humbling invitation. You guys will hear it in the interview. I believe actually it's on part 2, so we're kind of getting ahead of the game, but I think it's worth mentioning now, because if you want to sign up for one of these tours, he also said that our listeners can go to their website and sign up to, I think, basically apply, because they don't accept everybody. If you're looking for like
So yes, just know that this is no fancy vacation. You will be a part of a team for a week or longer, cooking, driving, washing, and everything else.
And probably changing some tires.
Yes.
So, like I said, awesome opportunity. What a great life experience to do something like this. We definitely will put this on our bucket list of things to do in our future as well. Lisa, what do you say we get into the interview with Marco from Holland?
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's fire up those diesel engines and head to Africa.
Let's roll.
All right, let's do it. Marco, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. We really appreciate you taking the time and connecting with us. Where are we reaching you today?
In the Netherlands and in Haarlem, which is about 20 kilometers away from Amsterdam.
Amazing. What's the weather like today?
Reasonably. I think 22 degrees, clouded. But hopefully more tomorrow better.
And what time is it for you today?
It's now a 5:15, so it's the end of the day.
And it's 8 o'clock in the morning for us.
Good morning, all.
Good evening.
Yes. So fill us in on any details we missed on your introduction, along with a little bit about you and your background.
Yes, well, a good friend of mine, Jim Vermeulen, asked me several times to join the Holland Africa Tour. And I think he asked it about 10 times. And then I finally went on, and we went to the first time, that's 15 years ago. That was 2004. I can remember that because the tsunami was there.
Okay.
And it was December. And we drove in Sudan through the Sahara, and then to another very nice country, Ethiopia. And it was a great drive. The dunes in Sudan, and then the desert is really great to see. People are very, very friendly. And it was a really great trip for me to introduce in 4x4 or 4x6 or 6x6 or 8x8 driving these M.A.N trucks. And Jim and his brother, I knew them from, they are my former bosses. They're twin brothers. And they actually started driving from The Hague in the Netherlands to Cape Town with 3 Dutch DAF cars in the 70s. And in those days, this was a real adventure. And
yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and it was they took about a year and a half to go around. They did the round trip, and they even met Haile Selassie in Ethiopia, and they were really enthusiastic about it. And Jim later started driving Paris-Dakar. And, well, I followed Jim in what he did, and I did some volunteering work for Paris-Dakar. So I was always connected with the desert. And now Jim and Luke asked me to join them. And yeah, from then on, I was a regular participant in the Holland Africa tour.
Marco, tell us a little about the Holland African tour and how you're specifically involved.
Well, we are a group of, let's say, 50, 60 people, and we drive on a regular basis through Africa. Let's say we have people who do the preparation from the cars, which is a technical point of view. Last spring they did a terrific job doing fixing all the cars. You can imagine that these trucks are more than 30 years old, but they are really solid. But sometimes we need to make repairs, and they repaired a lot and did some preparation for the next trips as well, and doing the tire work. We have a lot of tires, you can imagine, with those trucks.
Yes, they're big tires.
Yes, and they go flat as well, so sometimes it is a big job to do that. And we have to prepare that as well. And driving in rough terrain means that the trucks on some parts or the cabin, it's very hard for them. So here and there we have some cracks, and that should be repaired.
Do you bring those trucks back to Holland, or is the maintenance in between done?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes. In this case, the preparation was in Spain.
Okay.
And they are now in a Spanish enclave in Morocco. And in September there will be our first trip that will go to Agadir. And from there on, we will drive from Agadir to Republic of Mauritania.
Okay.
And which is really a great adventure as well.
Yeah, that's great.
When you go out on the tour, I'm curious, is each one the same length duration?
They are different. Sometimes we have trips from a week and sometimes from 3 weeks, depending whether it's really easy to connect with by plane or whatever. We did this year and last year, we did several short trips from and to Morocco, because Morocco is very reachable by plane, and it's something that's so easy to do short trips. So then in this case, we did some short trips in Morocco, but now for September, we have trips that were a little longer. From the north of Morocco to the south of Morocco, that will take 2 weeks. And then from the south of Morocco, we will have a big trip to Nouakchott and some great places in Mauritania. And that will take almost 3 weeks.
That's awesome.
Nice. So along with that How many trips have you actually taken since the first one? Was it 15 years ago?
I've done 5 trips. My first was Sudan and Ethiopia. And then I had Cameroon and Chad. And then 3 times in Morocco. But in the meantime, there were many other trips. Actually, we have done almost every country in Africa. So it's one big road trip, and you go from, let's say, 2 countries to another. And then it will halt, and another group will take over, and so on. And then we reached the south of Africa, and then we climbed up Libya, and then we got in troubles because we had our trucks were there, and then there was a coup, and then they confiscated the trucks.
Oh,
What?
Then what do you do?
Then we had some Libyan friends that helped us very well, and they arranged that we get the trucks returned. But we missed a lot of gear and all kind of stuff, motorcycles we had with us. But we had the trucks, and it was a real adventure to get those trucks in return.
I can imagine.
What contributed
Yeah.
to them confiscating them?
Yes, we had them stalled at a police officer, and we thought, well, if it's stalled there, it's safe, but it wasn't. Took almost a year, I think, or so to get them back.
Wow.
So give us a little overview of these 3-man trucks, if you would.
Yes, we have the biggest one. That's our, let's say, 8x8.
Okay.
These trucks are all from the M.A.N brand, German trucks, and they are powered with the Deutsch engine, which with double turbos, it delivers 320 horsepower, 12-liter cylinder, and it's air cooled, and that's an advantage you can imagine if you are driving in the desert.
Okay.
So we don't need lots of water and overheating and things like that. So we have an 8x8, a 6x6, and a 4x4. The 8x8 is actually our storage. We have a lot of spare parts for the trucks and all goods to take with us for the people over there, or specific parts you need. But also, I think about 3,000 liters of diesel and a water supply as well. And in the 8x8, it has 3 seats. And then we have our 6x6, which is a very special car because it has an extra cabin on it, which has a view over the other cabin. And there we have space for an additional 4 people who can sit there and have a look over with a wide view. This is a real nice view. And so this car you can have 7 people in. And it is also our kitchen car. And I would say it is a Spartan kitchen. So it's a small kitchen. It's not luxury, but we can make there one pot eating things like that. And the 6 has also the crates for the personal crates. You know, these aluminium crates for the crew. So
Okay.
every crew member has his own crate, and where he puts his own things in, clothing and belongings, things like that. That's the 6x6. And then we have the 4x4, which has the size is the same as the 6x6, but it has it's newer. We built it in 2007, I think, and it's more a kind of a material car and a workshop, and some cargo space for spare parts and materials, and so we can weld and things like that within in this cabin.
So when you hit the road, you're pretty well equipped.
Yes, we are self-supporting. We can drive, let's say, a week self-supporting. So we went through the Sahara. If you see the Sahara, this broad sand dunes, and not only dunes but also mountaining. From west to east, which was I think 3 weeks. We can drive, let's say, a week without any gas station.
Okay. So how many miles is that? Do you know?
I'm not sure, but I think we drove, let's say, something like 1,500
kilometers or miles?
Kilometers.
Okay. Very good.
What is that one thing you always value the most when you go on a tour?
You leave everything behind. I would say all the hassle in your normal life, you leave that behind, because in Africa things are so different, and we don't have internet in the cars. Well, sometimes we do, if it's in small villages. But there is no phone ringing. You are by yourself and your other crew. We have a crew of about, we go with 14 people. And, you connect with people, and sometimes it's very good, and sometimes it's even better. So you talk about the things in life, and, you see things, and you met people, and that's great. Sometimes I can remember I was in Sudan, and we met a little boy, and we gave him a football or a soccer ball, and he didn't know what to do with it. You can't imagine what kind of impact it has on you.
Yeah.
And we have also some goods, and then we gave them shoes and things like that, and clothing, and that gives a special bond with these people. And many times we are invited to drink tea with them, and that's very nice.
Anything you originally packed that seemed essential that you never used or found non-essential?
Ooh, that's a difficult question. No, I don't think we are experienced in what to pack, and you don't need much things to bring with you. So only what you bring is the things that you really need. And one of the main things for me is my camera, because I really like to make pictures, and I would like to show pictures to everybody who wants to see how Africa is and how beautiful it is. And that's one of the main course of the Holland Africa tour. We invite people to come with us and to enjoy Africa.
So the places that you've been in Africa, if you were to narrow that down to maybe 2 or 3, what were 2 or 3 of your top destinations, and what really made those so special for you?
With the Holland Africa tour, it is absolutely Sudan, and I'm talking then the north of Sudan. That was in 2004. There was no war at that time, and it is really, really beautiful. It's unbelievable. The Sahara, the pyramids in the north. There are pyramids, as in Egypt, but they are very nice, and there are only a few people to see them. We are very privileged to see those pyramids, and we have seen many of them there. And we are on some places we were the only visitors in a half a year. So you can imagine.
Oh wow!
What impact that has for these people and for us as well, to see all these pyramids on our way to this trip. And then the Nile, crossing the Nile in Sudan was also very interesting. You see all the things happening around there, and businesses and trading and things like that, and people. And then after a week desert, sometimes you see the market and things like that. It's really nice, and the sunsets in the deserts are really, really beautiful. And Yeah, they are so nice. You can't imagine how beautiful it is. Everybody should once in a lifetime be in the desert and have a look at night and see the stars.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be pretty amazing.
Yes, and I've been privileged to see that more than several times. So Sudan is my really favorite country. But then the Holland Africa tour introduced me to Namibia. They were there and they were so enthusiastic about it. So I went there with my family, rented a 4x4, and we did a round trip there. And I must say, this is a really nice country, pretty well developed, and you can rent there a 4x4 quite easily, and you can push your limits there. The first time I rented 2 cars, one for me and my wife, and one for my daughters. So I introduced my daughters how to drive 4x4, and it was a pleasure to do that. And every time we are there, we are pushing our limits. So we do tracks, which maybe once in a month people go there. And yeah, then you see things which are really nice. And Namibia is a country with, well, every half hour the landscape changes. So you're never bored about when you are driving. And there are many wild elephants and other wild animals, so it is always an adventure there.
That sounds fascinating.
It does. No oasis there. You actually see the real thing.
Yes, true.
Tell us a little more about the kitchen setup.
Yes, it is a really Spartan kitchen. So you can, let's say, with 2 people in the kitchen, and most of the time the ladies will prepare that. And it's one pot meals we prepare there, or we bake eggs in the morning, things like that. Pretty basic, but it is always sometimes. And you can imagine when we are going for a week in the desert, there at the time there is no meat, so we have astronaut food with us. So we boil some water and then we have some spaghetti or things like that. So sometimes it's quite simple, and sometimes we buy half a sheep or goat or whatever, and we have a barbecue. It depends actually where we are and what we do. And sometimes we go to a restaurant and have a dinner for all. So it's quite basic, but it's always useful. And since I think 3 years, we have refrigerators now, so we can take our meat or things like that. Before that, we didn't have it, and so we always had some limits regarding our food. But now we can do a little bit more.
That's got to be a nice change.
Absolutely. We have some cold drinks as well now, so
even better.
Yeah, if you drive on 40 degrees Celsius, then a cold beer is, it's great to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or cold Coke, yeah.
So you've got an average of somewhere around 14 people on a tour, and 1 burner, you're able to make it work.
Yes.
Very good.
With as many people with you on your tour, what are some of the favorite recipes?
Ooh, the favorite recipes. There are probably spaghetti, things like that, easy to do, and quick meals, because we always have to do some preparation and, for instance, tire work as well. So during the day we drive, we have some flat tires, and at night they should be repaired. And in Africa, it is not uncommon to have more than 6 or 8 flat tires on a day. And then, so it takes some time to do some preparation and repairs as well. So we always have a short meal, then we go and work. Some people do their pictures on their computers, or some people will call home with our satellite phone. So we're always busy. So, and we always drive, let's say, until the sunset, and then we make camp, and then we do our preparation. We have to put up our tents. We have roof tents on the trucks, and so if you prepare your sleeping place, and then let's say to make camp, it takes half an hour. And then our preparation for dinner and preparation for the car start.
Okay, Marco, we need to go back a little bit. I believe you said you have 6 to 7 flat tires in a day?
Yes.
What are you running over?
Well, I can remember one day in Cameroon, I think we had 11 flat tires. And in Cameroon, and I think it was on an asphalt way. There are always potholes and nails and whatever on the road. So you get punctures every day, and sometimes many, and sometimes a few. So if you're lucky, a few. And in our 4x4, we have 4 spare wheels, and the other cars we have the 8x8 has 1, and the 6x6 has 2. So we are limited, but most of the times we can just change them, and then during the night we will repair them.
That's got to be quite a tire repair kit that you have to take with you.
Exactly. That's
oh wow.
Yes, that takes some time, and sometimes it goes very quickly.
Okay.
Depending on what time schedule we have, we repair them on the spot, or we just replace them. Okay.
Very good. So provisions. How do you plan for purchasing groceries for those longer, like 1 week trips without a grocery store? And do you have any like minimal, like a set grocery list, I guess, for lack of a better term, of things that you always need to have with you on a minimum supply?
Yes, we have actually always, let's say for 3 or 4 weeks, canned food or dry food with us.
Okay.
And when we enter a village, we always buy quite a lot of fresh vegetables and meat if possible. And then we go on the trip. And then after 2, 3, 4 days, then we can go over to canned food.
Oh, that makes sense. So then any tips that you've got on purchasing those fresh meats and vegetables from those smaller villages and towns?
Well, we always buy them on the market, and it's always cheap and it's always good. So not particularly trouble finding things like that, but it's always nice to buy them and what local food is.
Okay, but I'm sure that a lot of times in one of your videos, I saw you've got just a cow head hanging there and then meat. That's not something in the Western world that most of us are used to seeing. Does that make a lot of people nervous when they see that?
No, you get used to it. For me, I'm really used to it. And it's fresh meat. You see many cows or goats. Sometimes this is really fresh meat. In Africa, they slaughter these animals, and it will be sold on the same day. So it's really fresh. And yeah, it's different. It's not packed. I must say, for instance, in Namibia, there you can buy packed meat. You can. And maybe you don't believe it, but there are really good supermarkets over there.
Okay.
So if you want to go to Africa, I would recommend Namibia to start with, because it's quite easy to do that.
Okay, great.
And how do you guys tackle doing laundry on the road?
Well, we have a plastic ton. And we put our stuff in and some soap and water, lock the ton, and then put it in the car. And then after a day, it is really clean.
And this is like a big barrel, is that right?
A barrel, oh yeah, a plastic barrel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then and when we're driving, it's like a washing machine.
I bet it is. And the hygiene. Do you have a shower, toilet set up, or what's the method of bathing during the tour?
This is a delicate question. Well, we last year we had a kind of small shower, but yeah, we are limited in water use. So we during the trips in the desert, we don't do those things. So we do use a small amount of water, or how you do say these tissues for babies. You can use them.
Yeah, we call them wet wipes.
Wet wipes, that's correct. Yeah. We use them a lot. That's quite easy to use. And yeah, after 3 or 4 days, everybody smells the same. So we are not worried about that. So real basic when you're driving in the Sahara.
Okay. Marco, what's been that number one biggest challenge you've had to overcome on a tour?
We had some, but I can remember a bridge in Sudan, and we were coming towards this bridge, and we said to each other, we are not going to cross it. And then looking at the map, it would cost us, I think, 300 or 400 kilometers to drive around. And then in a split of a second, there came a big truck, a petrol truck, drove over it.
All right, so how cool was that? Can you imagine driving one of those vehicles?
Yeah, get me behind one of those big things. Nobody will mess with me.
Like the 8x8, the 6x6, or the 4x4?
I'll take turns.
Well, if you go on one of these trips for a week to 3 weeks, that's what you do. Everybody, every day, people swap out. So that was a really great episode. Really enjoyed listening to Marco with the Holland Africa tour. From part one, Lisa, so far, what did you take away from that?
Well, with the vehicles being so large and such a large group, I wouldn't imagine anybody messing with them. But for them to actually have a vehicle stolen, that's kind of like...
Well, it was confiscated during a period of time in, I think, Libya, that things were not going so well. And as he mentioned, they were stored at a police station. So it was their belief that they would be safe and they'd just have to get them back later. It took them a year to get them back.
That's stressful.
It would be pretty stressful. And there was stuff that missing, but they got their trucks back and they were happy with that. One of the great things about doing this podcast is it's really a lesson in things that happen in different places in the world and things to go see. I wasn't aware of the pyramids
in North Sudan.
In North Sudan.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. I looked up some pictures of that on the old Google. Amazing.
And to think that they were created that long ago.
Well, but like he said, they were the only people like in a half a year that had been there.
That's wild.
So it's not a place it's not a tourist trap place.
No, it isn't.
And that even makes it like more special.
Yeah. And then to flip to Namibia, somewhat still desert, but quite different scenery.
Well, the thing that really got me was like Marco said, if there's a place that you're going to start out in Africa, Namibia is the best place to do that. You can rent a 4x4. So catch a plane, go to Namibia, rent a 4x4, and really stretch your limits, and you're still safe doing that.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
And places to get food, grocery markets. I mean, places that a lot of us, I think, in the States and in the Western culture are thinking Namibia is going to be grass huts, and that's it.
Yeah.
So pretty eye-opening anyway for us. Great episode. Really looking forward to next Thursday for the second episode with some more detail on what their biggest challenge was that Marco is beginning to tell us about here, and a lot more.
Yeah. Our interview with Marco is our longer format interview, so we split these into 2 episodes for your downloading pleasure. Don't worry, new episodes are released each Thursday.
In next week's episode, we talk about border crossings, navigation, communication, plus all the finer details of the Holland Africa Tour trucks.
It's a good idea to visit the show notes page on our website at ghteoverland.com/podcasts. Select the Holland Africa Tour episode. All the details and helpful links are already there for you.
Yep, that show notes page is pretty packed full of great information, so be sure and check it out. Send your suggestions and feedback to ghteoverlandpodcast@gmail.com. If you have an Amazon Echo, be sure to tell Alexa, play the GHT Overland Podcast. We'd love it if you'd connect with us on social media at GHT Overland. On the Instagram, it's GHT Overland Podcast. But I think you'll find it if you look up GHT Overland. Be sure to share this episode with your friends who enjoy travel off the beaten path. Overland travel is all about meeting new friends, seeing the most amazing places on earth, and of course, new food and new drinks.
Do you have a favorite drink or food recipe for overlanding? We'd love to feature it and you. Send them to ghteoverlandpodcast@gmail.com. Before you race off, it would mean the world to us if you rate and review the podcast. Give GHT Overland a little podcast love so we can reach as many Overlanders as possible. Thank you, and we will see you next Thursday for part 2 of the GHT Overland Podcast with the Holland Africa Tour. Bye.